What up, guys? Welcome to Base Damage, and this week on Rogue Deck Reviews, we have one sent in to us by Lunchbox5930, and for anyone who's ever listened to our podcast, we've actually had him on podcast before. He does various card of the day reviews and whatnot on his own channel, link in the description, y'all please check him out. But he's like, bruh, I want to send in a deck review, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, by all means. Like, I got him on Facebook and whatnot, and he was like, he sent me two different links, and this is the first one for To Love Rue, the title To Love Rue, but it's fucking boring. Basically, he specifically has this. So I found this very funny because he was like, I don't want any of the actual alien girls in there. He kind of jokingly called this the Normie deck because it's all of the normal girls in To Love Rue. None of them who are aliens or anything different, or plants or whatever. One, I've actually messed with a animal plant build before, as far as TLR is concerned. But for this, it actually has some of the cards that we do not have in Volume 2. So this is actually to give me kind of an insight what to look for if I'm able to ever pick up if we're ever able to get Volume 2 and I can actually build towards more of the deck. Because it was an interesting type of build, but it kind of felt a little lackluster. So I was like, I don't know, maybe I can do something with it, but I do feel that it's missing stuff, and maybe this will shed some light on that. But his exact words to me for this was, roast me. So, alright, you fucking scrub, let's do this shit. First off, we got your fucking anti-salvage sitting Mekon. It's 500 assist in front. When you play it, you have the option to mill in the top 3 cards of your deck. Why, because you can. Fuck it. But the anti-salvage, it's during the attack phase, when your character or your opponent's character gets put back from the waiting room to their hand, that player's characters get -3 soul until end of turn. So don't activate the fucking gate trigger, you noob. I wish I could say this to actually a lot of people. This is, sure, I'm being sarcastic with the whole roasting thing, but no, I feel that I really feel I wish I could say this to some people of just RTFC. Anyway, always. We got Sitting Yui. Also, I should say this is green-blue. Sorry. Sitting Yui. They're all sitting. Why the fuck are they sitting down? I'm waiting for the set that states standing, this character name. Standing, whatever. Because all these bitches are sitting the fuck down. If the number of your other characters you have is 1 or less, all of your other characters get 1500 power. And when this card becomes reversed, if the card's battle opponent is level 0 or lower, you may put the top card of your opponent's clock into his or her waiting room, and then put that character into your opponent's clock. It's a clock bomb. So, for that, I'm actually kind of surprised this is only at 1. Admittedly, this was also made for the JP format, but I don't know how many more decks in JP run salvage. So, I don't know. I mean, Konosuba's a thing, and right now they actually have some salvage ran in theirs. I don't know. To each their own, but yeah, I personally run like 3 in my TLR deck for Yamikon, so I don't know. 4 of this because gotta have them clock bombs. This card I'm actually not too happy about personally as a card. Not even for this deck. Just I don't really care for this card. When this card is put into your waiting room from the stage, when it dies, it's a 2K beater. You can pay 1 stock and deal yourself a damage from the top of the deck. And if you do, choose a card in your clock, return it to your hand, and put the top card of your deck into your clock. Yes, this leveling interrupts this effect. So, for anyone who doesn't understand the order of operations for this, say your opponent does enough damage to get you 1 damage away from leveling, and you would decide to activate this effect. You take the damage, and before you get to choose any of the cards in your clock, you take the damage as part of the cost. Before you get to add anything from your clock to hand, and if you had enough cards to level, all those cards go first, you level first, and then the effect continues. So it's like, ouch. So, anywho, otherwise, obviously you wouldn't activate it then, because if you do, you're an idiot, but that's whatever. I just personally don't care for this card in general. I feel that there were some better options for Animal Plant. Regardless, I don't even know hardly anything from Volume 2. You could take both copies of this out and put in 2 more sitting Mekon. Aya Fujisaki, one of the side bitches. All your other green characters get 500 power. Okay, that's actually nice as a global thing. Pay 2, rest 2 of your characters, choose a card in your clock, return it to your hand, and put the top card of your deck into your clock. The global 500 is nice, but okay, now I know I jokingly said I was going to sarcastically roast, but I'm actually looking at this card going, why? Like, not even trying to be like a deck doctor thing. This just seems like it's too much. Paying... Okay, I've seen Brainstormers, search Brainstormers, that are 1 stock and tap 2 characters, and end up having a better effect than this. I've seen on-play... There's an on-play Mekon. Sure, it's not animal or plant for this build. There's an on-play Mekon. The Mekon Brainstormer has this cost, but it also has the first effect of on-play. You can pitch a card to grab back a character... To grab like a Houseworker transformation from your clock to your hand, and then you take a damage. If you're paying 2 stock and resting 2 characters, I feel that you shouldn't have to take a damage after this. You should just be able to straight heal, like, for that much, for having to tap that many characters, for having to tap 2 characters and pay 2 stock. It's too much of a cost, and I feel that this is also me just criticizing Bushiroad. I don't feel that this is, outside of the Global 500, this is not good. Like, this is not a good card. I'm sorry. This is actually roasting now at this point. I don't feel that this cost is worth the effect. And then you still end up taking damage. No, you shouldn't be having to pay that hefty of a cost just to get 1 character. There's no reason for you to do that. So, sorry. Next is girl holding a Zostin sign. Saki Tenjoin. All of your other cards named Rin Kujo, which... I'm trying to remember who Rin Kujo was. Was that you? That's Risa. Where's Rin? Is that you? That's not you. No, that's Aya. Okay, so first effect doesn't apply because it's not in here. Otherwise, all your Rin Kujos get 500 power, and the ability this can't become reversed from your opponent's character's auto effects. Okay. When this card is placed on stage from your hand, you may pay the cost if you do search your deck for up to 1 green character. The cost being pay 1 discarded cards. Okay, so standard drop searcher. The secondary effect of that's actually really nice. I don't know I don't remember who Rin Kujo is or what the card does as far as that. Otherwise, as a standard drop searcher, this isn't bad. So that's actually fair. This one's actually kind of funny. Naked Apron Haruna. The character facing this gets character encore. And she's oversized 35, which, for real, that's not too terribly bad unless your opponent has a reverser. The way that you should see it is if your opponent decides to use that encore, they're wasting resources in hand. On a level 0, they're wasting resources in hand. So that's actually really cool. Otherwise, you could still just side. I mean, it's whatever. I don't know. Otherwise, a 3500 beat 6 actually still kind of cool. Sadly, this wouldn't even get a buff from this because it says your green characters. That's another thing. You actually have a fair amount of blue characters that wouldn't affect in the deck. So that actually, that is kind of a pain as far as synergy. But it looks like there's not that many buffers early on. Okay, admittedly, then 3 copies of each of these that I have pulled up over here. So this first one is a Mekon. So, actually no, yeah, because Mekon's a normie. You could put that in this deck and replace this. So the level 0 Mekon that I was talking before, that's the Brainstormer and the Clock Swapper. You could put in, well, no, because that does grab just Houseworker transformation characters. You'd be able to grab other Mekons. And transformations, all the other alien girls anyway, so never mind. That wouldn't actually work for the theme of this deck. Anywho, that first Mekon, Friends Summoning System. She must be playing Grand Order. So 0015. Rest her. Choose one of your characters with animal or plant, and that character gets 1500 power. Oh no, it's Yui. It's actually a Yui card. I'm so sorry. That looks like Mekon with the hair because it's Unlimited Lightworks confused me there. I'm sorry. I was like, a Mekon that's affecting animal or plant? Okay, no, I'm sorry. This is a Yui. Okay, and this is the Brainstorm. So You can choose, when you tap this, choose an animal or plant, and give that character 1,000 power. That's good. Brainstorm. Pay 1. Oh, it's a spammable, so you can use this as many times as you want. Okay, it's like Takitsakaze. Pay 1, mill 4 for every climax. Search your deck for a animal or plant, and then discard a card for each one that you do, or for each one that you grab back. Okay, so no, that's actually cool. Okay, now I do like that. This is actually I like this Brainstormer because they didn't really have that good of a Brainstormer. There was a Haruna Brainstormer, but it was like a draw or something like that. So no, this is actually kind of cool. This is a good one to have, and because you have a better Brainstormer, or because you at least have a Brainstormer for a better cost, you could just get rid of this because you're paying too much stock. So anyway, the next one after that was Invitation to Harem Haruna. It's a 002K. When this is placed from hand to stage, you can pitch 1, look up to... Oh, fuck, it's a Winter Moment Akatsuki. Why is there not 4 of this in here? Okay, because it says animal or spirit. So, because he had 3 of this put down. Okay, so this is only really going to grab animal or spirit. There was a blue card that was like oh, true, because there was the one ghost chick. But if you don't have her in here, she's only going to grab animal characters. Oh, cool. Okay, no, Winter Moment Akatsuki for that. So it is an issue of how many animal characters you have in the deck, so that means you wouldn't be able to get your Mikons. Not like it matters. But all of the Haruna and Yuis have animal. If I'm not mistaken, I could be completely and totally wrong. So that lets you get a majority of your level 1 and up, and then one other random moron over here. So it's a moron, that's for damn sure. So there's only like a handful of cards, like only a couple that you wouldn't be able to grab off of this, but at that point, it's whatever. So I honestly feel this should go up to 4. Get rid of this once again and put a 4th copy of this in here, straight up. This is actually really good. Alright, continuing right along because I realized, okay, that was the level 1s, I'm sorry, or level 0s. Because I feel that changes need to be made to this, I'm not actually going to say, I'm not actually going to worry about the number for the level 0s. I actually know this Climax combo. People are bonkers over the new Xenon coming out of Ordinal Scale, and I saw the exact same Climax combo on that Xenon on this Haruna right here before I ever knew that Xenon was a thing. So, okay. Regretting a little, Yui. This gets +1 level and 1500 power for each marker underneath of it. When a card named Heart Racing Voice is placed on your Climax area, this card gets +1500 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you can put the top card of your deck underneath this card as a marker. So as long as she kills something, she gets a marker. If you do the Climax combo, Heart Racing Voice, which is placed on your Climax area, draw 2k and a soul, which I don't really care for draw 2k and a souls personally, but to each their own. So as long as you kill something one time, she becomes a 55 with +1 level. If you do the Climax combo, when a card you play, so she would go up to a 7k. Okay, so doing the math, there is basically until the end of your opponent's next turn, you can have like a 7k level 2, which is interesting, but you'd have to keep building up from there because the damage increments are offset by how much level you have to put for that, which is kind of weird, personally. It's not like the worst Climax combo in the world, but I do feel for something you only run... Oh, you do run 3 of it, okay. I would personally run more of this for the other Climax combo because this is actually really good. Which we'll get to this and compare the two. If the number of the other animal or plant characters you have is 3 or more, this card gets 500 power and character encore, which isn't bad. Means she becomes basically a 5k with character encore and then a Climax combo. When this card attacks, if a card named Ripping Happening, which is the book trigger, is in your Climax area, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is animal or plant, put that card into your hand. So because this whole deck minus 4 cards right now, before you change it up, is animal or plant. All but those and other climaxes would be the only cards that you don't add to hand. Otherwise, when you swing, you essentially add something to hand almost every single time. This is worries, and this doesn't have animal traits. So this is one of the other ones you actually have to worry about. I know, right? Otherwise, for the most part, this is actually really good climax combo-wise. Now, if we look at on their own, this becomes a 5k, and then the 1k one would make this a 6k. As for this, she doesn't get the other buffs for markers until she kills something. So that first part doesn't even matter. The climax combo brings her up to a 55, and then if you choose to put the 2k and a soul onto her, she becomes a 7-5. So she would be 500 power stronger than the Haruna, admittedly. But if you put down 2 of each of these characters for the climax combo, this is going to be a little bit more... This will be more spread damage and power-wise, as opposed to one of them being a 55 and one of them being a 7-5. You'd still be able to kill other things with that, with the one that's still like 75 pretty easily. But you're more than likely not going to get as much advantage for dropping 2 down. Also because the markers. It's a blind stock where you put the top card of your deck underneath this as a marker. If that ends up being a climax, then that could hurt you in the later game because it's blind. You don't get to see what it is. You don't get to like peek what the markers are because they're face down and all that jazz. So because of that, I don't care for a blind stock effects like this. I personally feel that you should run change over and run more of this one. Personal opinion, because I've actually run this deck. Also because this has a climax. No, this this does not have a climax combo. There was another one called Bound happening. That was like a 1k1 pants trigger that had something with something else. Anyway, personally, this is the better climax combo in my personal opinion because this also does replace itself for every single Haruna that you have when you swing, as long as you top check an animal character. I'm saying animal because there's no plants in here. As far as I double checking, I don't remember seeing any plant characters in here. So, anywho, otherwise, like if you wanted to run this to try to do the whole marker thing instead, I wouldn't even worry about the climax, to be completely honest. Because if this was not even a blind stock, if this was like a green card from Waiting Room and +1 soul across the board, I would actually like this a lot better. But it's mostly the nature of the climax that I don't care for. So, anywho, so 4 of that Haruna. See, especially because you're running like 4 of this, but only 2 of the climax here, I do feel that needs to be changed up. Personal opinion. Then Encounter in the Early Morning Yui. This is also one of the new ones, so let's make certain I have this right here. Okay. It's a 1045. Up to twice per turn when your character is placed from hand to clock. Oh, this gains 3,000 power for the turn, and she has a character encore. Placed from hand to clock. Okay, so during your clock phase, if you clock a character, this would get a buff. Placed from hand to clock. So this wouldn't proc either off of the. At first I was like, well, maybe it actually has synergy with this. No, the other Yui has to go from hand to clock. That's only going to be during your clock phase, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know of any other cards in here that say otherwise. Admittedly, I have to get to some other cards that are in Japanese. But like this effect, even this effect wouldn't work with it. Even the Mekon effect wouldn't work with it because those go from deck to clock. So this one's a little weird. Admittedly, the character encore isn't even that great. Like, this is specifically meant to get big up to twice per turn. How often are you going to put a card from your hand to your clock? When your character is placed from hand to clock. There's also the shift ability. That would work if you use the shift ability to swap a character. To which I think Celine has a shift ability for that. So you'd be able to clock, draw 2 cards, this would get a buff, as long as this is already on field. And if you had that shift ability, you could do it again, and then she'd be bigger. Otherwise, I haven't seen anything else that would put cards from hand to clock. Otherwise, you're just taking more damage. if you had like a climax combo, maybe, I don't know. And basically it's meant to do that because then you could character encore during your next turn, or during the end of your opponent's turn. If this dies, because it'll only be like a 4500. She back around to your clock phase, be able to do that, do all that jazz, and then she's a +6. She's a 10/5 at that point, and then you can just try to kill anything and everything during your turn. Otherwise, like maybe there's some other effect that I don't know about, but we'll get to that. The other one, okay, that was also 2 copies of this one. 1 copy of the Maron. When this is placed from hand to stage, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a character with animal or spirit, choose up to 2 of your opponent's cost as 0 or lower characters. Those characters do not stand during your opponent's next stand phase. This isn't bad, and it's a funny little tech, but it's only like a 25. This is meant to do this little shenanigan thing, and then just like suicide with it. That's all this is meant for. The cost 0 or lower characters. This is better if your opponent somehow got to level 1 before you, and they have 2 level 1 cost 0 characters on field, and you just want to throw this down, make it so they can't stand for a turn, and then just use the Maron to like suicide into them or whatever. Otherwise, you don't want to do this on level 0 characters that don't have a cost, because you're more than likely going to kill them in the same turn. If you get pushed to level 1 first, because this is a level 1 card, if you get pushed to level 1 first, this is not a good effect to throw down. Excuse me. This is better after your opponent is already at level 1 and has thrown down some level 1 cost 0 characters. To which it would be some funny shenanigans, but that's about the extent of the funniness there. So, anywho. That's 3. That's also a really low level 1 count. That's only like 10 level 1 cards, and there's no events for it, so that's interesting. Anyway, getting to level 2. Well, admittedly, this can come out... seeing Harna... Oh, okay, that's this one. Okay, so, first off, Shameful Happening, Yui. During this card's battle, all players cannot play backup from hand. They can still play events, as far as like event counters, but they can't do character backups. And when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, if the number of animal plant characters you have is 4 or more, you can blind stock 1. So if you play her last, she's an 8k for free, for a free blind stock, and then you could just use that to like brainstorm or something. Really, really nice. Because this is a pretty good brainstormer. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Being able to get that and then be able to play it for free. That's not bad. Risa Morioka is a global 1000 to your level 3 sitting Harana. And then when this card is placed on stage from your hand, you may pay the cost, which is discarding the oversized Harana level 0 to the waiting room. If you do, return all cards in your waiting room to the deck and then shuffle your deck. So you can free fresh by, on play of this, discarding a copy of this. If you decide to run this combo, you would want to run more copies of this for the chance of free fresh being higher. Otherwise, this is just a global 1000 to your level 3. Admittedly, this level 3 can be played. It has an early play condition. So I've seen this and considered it before, but I ended up not running it. But if you're going to keep this, I would definitely say put in more copies of this. Be able to make it a little more consistent at that point. In a pinch Harana, all of your animal plant characters in front of this get 1000 power and the ability Character Encore. So that's actually not bad. And then the buff and the Encore on top of that is actually pretty damn good for a card. I would personally say if you could fit like another copy of this in here just as extra support. Like you could take out one copy of this, because you don't really need the free fresh that much, even though it's still pretty cool. To put another copy of this in here, and then still somehow like take out this or something, and then put more copies of that and that in here. Anywho, so that's it for the level 2s. That's 5 level 2s. Level 3. So we have Yui Kotogawa. On play, you can search your deck for an animal or plant character, which is really good. And then when this card is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 additional stock. So she's normally a 2 stock cost, but you can pay an additional. If you do, this card gets 1,000 power until end of turn, and your opponent cannot play event cards from hand until the end of your opponent's next turn. I actually really, really love this effect for 2 big reasons. One, if you know your opponent does run like particular events for searching or for other various combos. I think one of the other big Two of Rue cards in Yami-Con from Volume 2 is an event that bounces characters. So being able to stop stuff like that or other random shenanigans events from going off is very nice. Secondly, along those lines, event backups like Compass, Darkness Plan, the omnidirectional mobility gear from AOT, stuff like that cannot be done. And this isn't on attack climax combo. This is just pay an extra stock. You're not stopping my damage this turn. So I really, really like this effect, and I personally feel this might, like, admittedly, I don't know what this character does at all, but this is still really good at 2 alone is still really, really good. So I do like this, and I'm looking for more copies myself. Anywho. Sitting Haruna, so this is the one that can get a buff from the Risa. If the number of climax cards in your waiting room is 2 or less, this gets -1 level in your hand. Really easy early play condition. A heal on play, and then when another of your animal or plant characters attacks, this gets plus 1,000 power until end of turn. So this is really interesting because I liked pairing it up with the In a Pinch Haruna and be able to sit there. She already have like a bigger buff, but then have character encore. So every turn that if I didn't die, basically she would get so big attacking when other cards would attack and whatnot. This was actually really cool. And even the early play heals are really, really good. And surprisingly enough, this was a really cheap card in English. Like I would have expected this kind of early play to be a little bit more expensive. But it's whatever. I do very much like this. I'm liking the level 3 lineup so far. The rest of the deck does need some like tweaks and whatnot, dude, but I am definitely liking this level 3 lineup. Alright, so 4 copies of this other Yui, Waking Up in the Morning. So, just getting up out of bed. Okay, so this is a double rare, so this might be a little more pricey. It's a 3/2, 9/5, 2 soul. When this is placed from hand to stage, draw up to 1 card, and this gets 2,000 power for the turn. When your opponent uses a startup ability, which is Act, this gains 15 power for the turn. Okay. And then, obviously, the last ability I definitely like. When the battle opponent of this becomes reversed, if someone I'm interested in is in your climax zone, you may put that character in Clock. Clock Shoot. So fun. Which that, interestingly enough... Oh, not this one. It's off of a 1K1 gold bar. So we'll get to that in a second, but I really like this, and I am definitely liking this level 3 for basically the second, obviously for the Clock Shoot before anything else. She gets really, really big. She replaces herself. She doesn't dig as much, like Akagi Kai being the main like finisher of Kantai on play lets you draw 2 cards and then discard 1 card, so she can potentially dig for more copies of herself and or copies of, or be able to draw the climax. But gold bars will have no problem getting to your hand. I'll tell you that right now. Cough, cough, Zek and Yuki. Anyway, basically the purpose of this is to offset your opponent's backups. Because if you swing with this and your opponent uses a backup, this lets you get a bigger buff. So I've seen people where, okay, let's do the math here. 1K1, it's going to put her at 10-5. If it's the turn she was played, it's going to put her at 12-5. So that's going to be over most level 3s. If they try to do anywhere from a 25 to a 3K backup, even then, more than likely, they're not going to exceed, let's see, if we do 15, that's going to be 12-5 plus 15 would put her at 14, unless they can buff up to surpass 14,000 power. You're going to be able to get the reverse anyway because of her additional buff. That's actually a really nice effect, and if your opponent does try to do the backup, it's like not even like a punishment. It's you wasted resources for me just to get bigger and Clock Shoot you anyway, more than likely. That's actually really cool. And this will even trigger off of if your opponent tries to back up another character, like off of another attack. So I do like that. That's actually really cool. It's like, oh, I didn't know if I was going to get over this one character before. You used a backup over here. I'm going to get bigger here and then still potentially clock shoot you. So definitely like this. And then just showing the name of it. Okay, so the someone I'm interested in. It's her under the little umbrella thingy. 1K1 gold bar. So I personally feel that this should go up to 4 because you do run 4 copies of this because this is obviously going to be your main game ender. And being able to drop this UE to make certain that you grab this is really good. So I feel that this could come down to 2. Put in an additional copy of this. Because, oh my god, being able to stop like Darkness Plan and Compass. And then throw clock shooters down is just funny as hell to me. And that's really cool. Otherwise, you could keep the level 3 lineup the way you want it, the way you have it right now, personally. But I do feel that the climaxes need to be changed up because Draw 2K in a Soul just is not as strong as 1K1s by far. I would definitely say put this up to 4, and I would definitely say increase this. Yeah, you might as well put like 4 and 4, personally. Because now I'm actually wanting us to get Volume 2 because I definitely like how a lot of these are for the animal deck. I know this all says like animal plant, but only the alien girl, like only the Lala sisters are plant or whatever. So, it's whatever. It's like the twins. Yeah, they're plant. Okay, so what it boils down to, you definitely can make some changes into this. Like when you initially said roast me, I was mostly just going to joke around and be like, oh, look at this noob shit or whatever. No, like I was just going to joke about it. But now I'm actually looking at this and going, nah, dude, there seriously are changes you can make to this to make it better. Mostly because I don't agree with particular options in here personally. That's just, like I said, just my personal opinion. You could easily change up some stuff in here and be able to do a lot more damage and be able to do a lot more combos, effects, and just more consistency in general. So yeah, so I just have to look at this again. Okay, animals. So yeah, it would like affect most everything in the deck if you changed up some stuff. Sorry, I just had to look at that again. Reviewing stuff. So final thoughts on this. I still like the deck. I very much want Volume 2 now. Like I said, I know I just stated that, but I'm repeating it. I very much want Volume 2 now. There are some changes you can make, dude, but otherwise, I still very much like the concept of this, of just all the normal girls. I still like that concept, and that was really cool. So, dude, definitely thank you for sending this in. This was really cool to look over, and I have not looked at anything, other than these cards, I have not looked at anything in Volume 2. I know about the one other event for YamiCon, and that's it. That's literally it. So, otherwise, now I'm kind of wanting to look over the rest of the Volume 2 set. I may end up doing that after I end recording this, so I don't know. But either way, Lunchbox, thank you for sending this in. It's much appreciated, dude. If anybody else has Rogue Deck reviews they want to send in, I realize people have been asking me how to send it in. You can send it in through Facebook, we link in the description. You can comment it up here. You can message me on YouTube. You can message me in the Discord server. All the links for that will be in the description, or if you want to comment up on this video, whatever you feel is necessary. There's umpteen ways to get in contact with me and be like, here, bro, send this, and email and all this other jazz. Do please, if you want to send us in, I'm actually going to be doing something pertaining to Rogue Deck reviews for the next giveaway video. Spoiler alert. And it'll entail Rogue Deck reviews for the next big giveaway that we do, and I just want to go ahead and be getting word out there of how to send stuff in. So that's how you do it. Check all the links in the description. There's like 4 or 5 different ways you can get up with me. Anyway, once again, thank you very much for sending this in, dude, and thank y'all very much for watching. We don't get paid for any of this. This is solely just me doing this for fun, and I just enjoy looking over these decks and whatnot. And with that, we will see y'all on the flip side. Peace out for now.